name is Rupinder, and as you might have heard, I am a distinguished Toastmaster. But if you were to ask me two words that have shaped my life, those two words would be get out. Usually, I'm at the receiving end of these words, but it feels very exhilarating when I have to tell them to people to get out. Even while I was in school, my teachers had these two words for me get out. And I always used to stand out. So, in a way, I am outstanding. After all, why fit in when you were born to stand out? And here I am, here with my speech, get out. So, I'm going to recount some experiences as to how get out shaped my life. My first job was at a school. Life was hunky dory. I had a girlfriend who, for some reason, thought that I was getting paid very less for the amount of work that I do. I now realize she was an expensive girlfriend. But as they say, love is blind. So, in my blindness, I wrote a long, winded email to my principal enumerating the various reasons as to why I should be given a raise and possibly a promotion. My principal came back with an email of his own. Dear Mr. Singh, thank you for being so candid. Thank you for being so honest. Just realized our contract with you has ended. We have no intention of continuing our contract with you. Translated, I was told to get out. So I got out with a lesson learned. Never give some person so much importance that they take all the decisions for you. And a few jobs later, I found myself in another organization where I had a wonderful boss who had a horrible boss. Now, I call my boss wonderful because he gazed in wonderment at my ability to sleep during work hours in official meetings. To be honest, it was more out of boredom. I call his boss horrible because he thought he was God's gift to leadership. If you ask my personal opinion, I think he was very fortunate that India does not have the Second Amendment. Otherwise, somebody would have exercised that right on him. So it came to pass in a meeting one day, he was giving his presentation, which was boring. And I, as usual, was not sleeping. I was snoring. At first, people thought it was somebody's cell phone vibrating. Then they saw my stomach going up and down, gyrating in sleep. I was asked to get out of the room, get a cup of coffee for myself as I stood by the coffee machine. My boss walked up to me and told me, in the long term objectives that this organization has sought for itself, while looking for the right kind of fitment and the right kind of roles, you do not fit in. You do not deserve a role. In short, get out once again. Went out, lesson learned, do not bow to authority, but at least tip your hat. A few jobs later, another organization, and this one had a Toastmasters club, and I joined Toastmasters. Day one, I walked to my mentor and I asked him, if you were to give me one advice, what would that advice be? And guess what my mentor had to say? Get out. And I was at that point, I wanted to scream, give me a break. How many times do I have to get out? But this get out was probably the best ever advice that was given to me in Toastmasters. Because every time I was told to get out, I took it as an offense, but now I look upon it as an opportunity. My principal, that horrible boss, they were not asking me to get out. They were asking me to get out of my comfort zone. And I realized how beneficial getting out of your comfort zone is when I started going out in Toastmasters, when I started going out to other clubs. I would face a different audience. I would go in expecting one kind of feedback. I would end up receiving feedback on a totally different topic. For example, I went in to improve my vocal variety and I ended up getting feedback on my body language. And because my body is massive, my body does not have much of a language that way. So I am a work in progress when it comes to body language. But each of the feedback that I received gave me the ways and the means to improve. And it all culminated on that one day in 2018 when I qualified for the World Championship of Public Speaking in Chicago. I was one of the three people representing my organization. Fellow Toastmasters, the one advice that I got from my mentor was that when you get to the United States, go visit as many clubs as possible. I was in United States for 21 days, for 3 weeks. In those 3 weeks, I visited 29 clubs. I visited clubs across Minnesota, in Michigan, in Chicago, in New York, in New Jersey, and each one gave me a fresh perspective. It was largely due to these efforts that I was able to stand second in my semifinals. So, what does all this have to do with what I'm discussing right now? Why are you listening to a person who's been fired at least twice in his life, or who came second and not first? Because there are stories that I have to share. I will start with my first story, and the first story relates to me attending a Toastmasters meeting of all places in United Kingdom. Now, I was going to sleep. Sleep wasn't coming. And I decided if I could attend a Toastmasters meeting. I looked up the official Facebook Toastmasters page, and they said that there was a meeting happening somewhere in the United Kingdom. I walked into that meeting. They welcomed me like I was some sort of a VIP. And then they asked me, would you like to be the grammarian? Because we don't have a grammarian today. Without a second thought, I said yes. Now, listen, everyone has a voice inside their head that tells them to stop while they are ahead. I don't have one. Why? Because I just said yes to a club in England. People who have ruled my country for over 200 years. People who bought the English language. People whose textbooks I have read in the schools. And I have taken up the responsibility of being a grammarian right in that club, in a club in England. Well, guess what? I won the Best Role Player Award that day. So if you people have some sort of a problem with my accent, it's been certified by none other than the land of the Queen herself. Thank you very much. The second thing that I learned while while attending these virtual meetings online was eye contact. You see, when we attend virtual meetings, we have a habit of looking down at our screens and not looking at the cameras. Somebody told me a very simple trick. All I have to do is write, look here on a post it note and stick it right next to my camera. And that way, I'm always looking at the camera. How is it going to help? You see, when you go to contests, when we are speaking in front of 500 to 1,000 people, you are able to do eye contact only with the first few rows. You will not be able to reach out to the rows that are at the back, which is about 70% of your audience. And this is where there is this camera in between that is broadcasting whatever you're saying to the rest of the audience. So all you have to do is make eye contact with that camera every now and then. And when you do that, the audience that is looking at you through the screens is able to establish eye contact with you. I learned all that just by attending meetings online. Now, before I close, there are a couple of success stories that I want to share that come from meeting online. And for that, give me a second while I share my screen with you. Now, this young woman is Haritika Ahuja. She is the secretary of one of my clubs. As you can see, one of her most striking features is her smile. She's constantly smiling. But the day she first came to the Toastmasters meeting, she was a bundle of nerves. I asked her to do a table topic, and she was barely able to finish her table topic. After she joined Toastmasters, she practiced. She went to different clubs. She tried different things. And you know what it culminated in? Day before yesterday, Haritika gave a speech at her home club. Now, usually, when you give speeches online, people turn their videos off. I know many of them do in my case. And you don't know what is happening behind the camera. But Haritika was delivering a humorous speech. I can tell you that when she started, there were at most five cameras on out of around 25 to 30 people. When Haritika got to her first joke, a few smileys came on the screen. People were listening to her. By the time Haritika finished, 13 to 20 cameras had turned on, everybody applauding for her. Haritika trusted herself. She trusted that if she could laugh at her jokes, then the rest of the world will laugh at her jokes if she can deliver them without any nervousness. From a girl who started by not being able to deliver a table topic to a girl who delivered a humorous speech, chose the engaging humor path, she has come a long way. The second one, this is Arun. Arun is a sergeant at arms in a club in District 121, which is in the south of India. What makes Arun remarkable? Arun, this is what makes him remarkable. This is his son. A meeting started where Arun was a sergeant at arms. He was also a speaker. And before the meeting started, his son started crying and ran to his lap. Arun ran this whole meeting with his son in his lap. He opened the meeting, handed it over to the presiding officer, and then he gave a speech with his son in his lap. Now, it wasn't an ordinary speech. He won the Best Speaker Award. So, what do we learn? What I have learned is that the best two words that were told to me were to get out. And when I got out of my comfort zone. I went to a club in UK and decided to be the grammarian. I learned something new about technology. I learned how Haritika overcame her nervousness to deliver a humorous speech, which, according to me, is one of the most difficult speeches to deliver. I learned how to hold a child in your hand and still deliver an effective speech. Each one of these people had an impediment, whether it was overcoming nervousness, or whether it was attending to someone, or whether it was overcoming technological challenges. Each one of them went in there and did what they were expected to do. The story doesn't end here. The story actually begins here. Imagine that Arun is able to deliver a wonderful speech, gets the Best Speaker award, holding his son in his hand. Imagine that Haritika is on a virtual platform and she is able to get people to turn on their videos and laugh with her. Now imagine the two of them on a physical stage. What they have accomplished on a virtual platform will only make them stronger on a physical platform. And that, to me, is the single biggest blessing of us performing on this virtual platform. That, to me, is the strength of getting out, going to other clubs and delivering speeches or performing roles. So, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, next time somebody tells you to get out, don't take it negatively. Instead, thank them. Because as the quote goes, everything you desire lies on the other side of the comfort zone. Today, me and a lot of other Toastmasters, including yourselves, have put yourself outside your comfort zone. You're attending a meeting regularly. You're attending a meeting remotely. And yeah, you are listening to me also for the past 15, 20 minutes. But the next time somebody asks you, what is the best advice you can give them? My suggestion to you would be two words. And those two words are get out. Barbara.
Oh, thank you so much, Rupinder. Uh, I know everybody has their video off, but I saw a lot of laughing and clapping. What a wonderful speech. In fact, first I want to say I was in the president's training session, and the presidents indicated that their biggest problem was promoting and getting new members during this virtual and pandemic, and how can we encourage people to join Toastmasters. And I think Rupinder just answered your question in an amazing way. So hopefully all the presidents are here listening to all the awesome things about attending Toastmasters in a virtual world. So I have a few questions to ask Rupinder, because we always like to interview people and hear more about them. So I think the first thing we all want to know is what drove you to join Toastmasters? How were you encouraged to join?
My New Year resolution is to learn to unmute and mute at appropriate
Me
times.
too.
But jokes aside, I first have heard about Toastmasters in 2009, and my leader, he sat me down to lunch and he said, I think you should join Toastmasters. And I said, what is Toastmasters? And he went on to explain that it is an international organization that helps people improve their leadership and communication skills. And I was like, stop. I understand there might be a problem with my leadership skills, but I am heading a learning and development team in a Fortune 300 organization. Communication cannot be my problem. In fact, communication is my bread and butter. At least the bread, if it is not my butter part, but at least it is the bread. And then he said, why don't you go and attend a Toastmasters meeting? Take it as an order. I said, okay, I'll attend it tomorrow. And he said, no, you will attend it yesterday. I really loved his enthusiasm. He actually thought that I could go back in time and change things. But then yesterday became today, today became tomorrow, tomorrow became next week, next month, and then next year. I joined Toastmasters in 2015. And trust me, not one day goes by when I don't kick myself as to what I was doing for all those 6 years. I probably would have given a better keynote today if I had joined in 2009.
I don't know how you could have given a better keynote. It was awesome. You're getting a lot of love in the chat. In fact, Karen says, my motto for 2021 will be get out. So you're making a great impression to people here. So, you've attended a lot of clubs around the world. You told us about some of them, but tell us a little bit about your home club and where are they, what do they represent, and what is different about your home club that you have seen in other clubs? How are clubs in India different than clubs in the United States?
Okay. So I am Vice President membership at Professional Speakers. This is a club for people who've completed the competent communicator and or level 2. This club aims at making people professional speakers. So we have a very different meeting structure. We meet every Sunday 4 to 6 Indian Standard Time. In We are actually training people to for the TED Talks, for accredited speaker program. So we have different fee structure. Have a different speech structure there. We actually have a professional speech which is about 20 minutes in length. We have a power talk which is about 10 minutes in length, and apart from that we have a regular prepared speeches. So why should you come to professional speakers? If you want to become a professional speaker. The second club that I'm a member of is Turning Point Toastmasters. That is the club with which I went to the World Championship of Public Speaking. Why you should come to this club? Because it will showcase you how regular meetings should be held. Recently, we started with a zero defect meeting initiative in which we had a very simple goal to have. We had about 45 parameters, and we said that we will score perfectly on all these 45 parameters, and that we will have one zero defect meeting in a quarter. I'm very happy to say that we have recently accomplished about 5 to 6 zero defect meetings in the last quarter and the one that has started right now. The third club that I'm a member of is Blue Quest. Why you should come to Blue Quest? Because you will watch a club in transition. Blue Quest has seen some very difficult times, and right now it is finding its way up. And what we have done with that club is that we invite role players from all over the district and from outside to come and play their roles. And when that happens, there is a crowd that gathers. When that crowd gathers, people get interested as to why are there so many people going to this club. And that has resulted in us adding 3 members in the last 3 months alone. So professional speakers, Turning Point Toastmasters every Thursday, 7 to 9 India Standard Time, and Blue Quest every morning, 8:30 a.m., every Wednesday morning, 8:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time.
Nice. That's a lot of variety in your Toastmasters meals every week. That's pretty awesome. I remember when I started, getting a DTM seemed to be a huge effort. I could not imagine achieving it, and of course, eventually I did, and you did. So, how would you encourage people that are watching now that are new Toastmasters? What would you say is the reason to push forward and get that DTM?
The See, there are two things. One, I believe that the objective of leadership is to create more leaders, and the DTM program to me represents the pinnacle of leadership, because in Toastmasters you learn a form of leadership which is the influential leadership, leadership by influence. Barbara, if I was working with you and if I was reporting into you, you tell me to come on a Saturday, which I know you won't, but if you tell me to come on a Saturday, I will have no choice. I will have to come on a Saturday, since probably my next appraisal cycle depends on it, or my next raise depends on it. My job might depend on it. But in Toastmasters, if you ask somebody to come on a Saturday, play a role in a club meeting, or maybe help you out with a contest, they will not come because you're asking them to do so. They will come because they want to come themselves. And how do you do that? You do that by influencing people. Right now, in this meeting alone, we have somebody who answers to the name of Raj Mehta, Distinguished Toastmaster Raj Mehta, and Distinguished Toastmaster Shaurendra Bhaumik, both of them my mentors. If they tell me to come on a Sunday, I will go on a Sunday, no matter what. It's because of the influence they have on me. Remember, I always have a choice to say no, but
Mhm.
getting people to agree to come. And if you practice influential leadership, you will never have to ask, because people will come up to you and say that, look, I will be there this Saturday, or I will be there this Sunday. And if you want to experience that kind of leadership, go for a distinguished Toastmaster, because nothing else will teach you leadership, influential leadership, like distinguished Toastmasters does.
Great, thank you. So I've got just one more question. What's next for Rupinder?
Good question. Uh, well, I'll tell you what is definitely not next. I don't think that I will go in for a district officer position, because, to be honest, when I was area director, I accomplished a president distinguished area, and I know what kind of effort I put in. And maybe I would say that replicating that kind of success is going to be a challenge. But more importantly, the reason why I continue to be in Toastmasters, uh, I did not formally have mentors, but a group of people decided to mentor me. They had no business mentoring me, honestly speaking. They could have easily said that, okay, we've got other things to do, but they chose to mentor me. And one of them told me, never look down upon those who look up to you. And when I look at Toastmasters, when I see what I've gained out of Toastmasters, I see a lot of people who need help. And I would rather help people at the grassroots level, prepare future leaders for tomorrow. Now, just a case in point, Turning Point Toastmasters has successfully sent a district officer to the district for the last 4 years. And that is something that I believe in doing, grooming leaders for the future. It helps me that I am a trainer, and that I am a learning designer. It kind of augments what I'm already doing. It helps me in leadership training. So, to summarize that rather long answer, what next for Rupinder? Grooming future leaders, hopefully.
Awesome. That is an amazing goal, and I look forward to hearing how that goes. Just a note to attendees, Anant has put in information about Turning Point Toastmasters. You can attend a meeting tomorrow. Anant put a link in as well. So hopefully you'll see some of us at your meeting tomorrow, Rupinder. Thank you so much for coming such a long way virtually to entertain and inform us. We really appreciate it. Let's give it up for Rupinder. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.